What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It's July 12th of 2022. We are one evening ahead of the highly anticipated CPI report. It is coming out tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Let's take a look and see what the institutional thought process was ahead of this event. Full disclosure, I am 99% long the market. I do not have the luxury, like some of the other market commentators that I hang out with on Twitter Spaces, to be 100% long the market. Every day the market is up, and then 100% net short. Every day the market is down. Fully accountable to all my positions. Everything is documented in these videos, and everything is documented for Pristine Capital members. There is no shame in my game. Let's dive into these headline indices. We have the S&P 500 as measured by the SPY down 0.87%. We have the NASDAQ QQQ down 0.97%. Our small caps were a relative leader, only down about a third of 1%. Dogs of the Dow down 0.54%. And our ARK Innovation ETF was actually up 1.6%, which is pretty encouraging. Volatility did expand across the board. And I noticed that the TDEX, which is the tail index for the S&P 500 options, that was up about 15 to 20% at various parts throughout the day. So I could definitely tell that market participants were continuing to add to hedges that they started adding to yesterday. Breadth was pretty mixed across the board, but we did get positive breadth in the IWM small caps. And you can see we finished out the day with 39.4% up volume. My trend model is still at a -1 signal. Finviz heat map, you can see pretty weak across the board, right? Microsoft was down 4.1%. I do believe there was an announcement that Microsoft was cutting 1% of their workforce. And this is no secret, it's no surprise that the U.S. economy is likely in the midst of a recession, and we're feeling those reverberations out in the economy. The market has done a fantastic job of getting out in front of this, a la the 20% decline that we've seen in the S&P 500, 30 in the NASDAQ, etc., etc. One bright spot, energy was down, and energy got absolutely walloped. Let's actually take a look at that in a moment. Sectors, the ARK Genomics ETF is in our top momentum slot. That is noteworthy. Biotech is in our number 2 slot. ARK Innovation ETF is in our number 3 slot. And look at this, the home builders are now in our number 4 slot. That's pretty unusual. And I think what's starting to happen is the market is really transitioning from the theme of hyperinflation, oh my gosh, when's it going to end, blah, 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 to really like, hey, this economic contraction could be severe. Let's make sure that we're factoring that in as well. And what we're starting to see, even with the yield curve, is that bond market participants are starting to price in the fact that the Federal Reserve might end up having to cut interest rates over the next year. So this really is no joke in terms of what's going on. This is a very high stakes game that is being played out on the global stage. But let's take a look. What were some of the laggards? I did notice solar energy was a pretty big laggard today. And definitely some big players, they're going out of their way to sell their solar stocks. I'm currently long DQ. I'm also long Enphase as well, so I really don't like to see that. Yeah, solar you can see was down 3.34%. Software as well was down 3.72%. So it definitely looks like a lot of these market participants, they were taking some chips off the table ahead of CPI. I certainly don't blame them. Growth style factor was down 1.23%. You can see small cap value is actually up 0.19%. In terms of trades, full disclosure, there were no common stock trades for me today, and there were no options trades either. There's really nothing for me to do. My MO is I want to hit my desired goals in terms of my swing trading and my position trading, and I want to do so in as few button clicks as possible. So when I really see that there's no edge in the market, or at least, for my strategies and what I do, I always want to make sure to do as little as possible. That's something I've improved at over time. It's something that I still have more room to improve at, because it's not really about like how many trades you take. It's all about what happens in between the button clicks. Let's take a look at these headline indices. And also today, I believe, is my last day in New York for the time being. My parents, I think I told you guys, like we had actually a bad rodent problem in my parents' house. And I've been over here for about like the past week. This is why like you'll notice the video quality like is not as good. I'm on like a very old machine over here. But anyway, that situation is getting a lot better, which I'm super grateful for. And thank you so much for your patience while I've been over here as well. S&P 500, take a look. We got to pull back to the 20-day simple moving average, team. Oh my gosh. Isn't that like the most scary thing in the world? That pink line. Oh my gosh. No, in reality, markets always pull back to the 20-day simple moving average. It's literally like no big deal. Take a look. In the after hours, we're trading up just a smidge, up 0.03%, nothing major. And yeah, we're sandwiched in between now the 20-day simple moving average as well as this 50-day. Let's say the inflation number comes out very hot tomorrow, which is certainly a possibility. Am I positioned for that? No. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm long the market. I'm long these innovation stocks. But it's certainly a possibility. If that were to happen, could I see us cascading below this monthly point of control? Absolutely. Could I see us even tagging this monthly value area low at 36.38? Certainly could happen. But my baseline expectation is that this number is going to come in lighter than expected, and we're going to make a swift move up to the 50-day simple moving average over the next, couple of weeks, something of that nature. That's really what I'm playing for. Take a look at the hourly chart. What's going on here? Hourly chart. Wow, we pulled back all the way to the weekly value area low. So we tested that level. Looks like some buyers stepped in, pushed us off of it. And that actually is like a good little flush just to get us going for the CPI. We also have the PPI coming down the pipe the following day. NASDAQ. Chart looks very similar. We pulled back to the 20-day simple moving average. Russell 2000 also looking very similar. Pulled back to the 20-day. And what do you know? Did our dogs of the Dow also pull back to the 20-day? Yes, they did. Take a look at that. Above the 20-day simple moving average. I do really want to shout out to crude oil. Check this out. We're down. Oh my gosh, we're down to 95 bucks a barrel. That is phenomenal. So shout out to everyone that has a gas guzzling vehicle. These prices should hopefully filter down to you in short order. So that's a great thing for the markets. It's a great thing just for people around the world that have cars. It's awesome. So I really think like all of these commodity prices, they're falling off a cliff. And the commodity prices are really what leads to this food inflation. Like, energy inflation, obviously that's a commodity. Food, it's all the agricultural commodities that are inputs. And given that those are declining, to me it's like, hey, we're about to get the June CPI report. I think it's going to be a deceleration, even if it's in line or even if it's slightly above. I just think the writing is on the wall that inflation has likely peaked. So we're going to have to see how the market responds to that. But I think there's an edge in being long into tomorrow. And again, tomorrow, if there's not, then I'm going to eat my words, which is perfectly fine. So that is crude oil. Let's take a look at the ARK Innovation ETF, because that was the one winner for today out of the basically like headline indices that I track. And take a look, the ARK Innovation ETF. 2 days ago, look where we were. We were breaking outside of value. It looked like, oh my gosh, this could be it. We might break out of this base that we've been in for about 2 months now. Of course, we ended up we got sparked with a big red candle yesterday. But in the grand scheme, if this CPI number comes in light, we could just very quickly zip back up to these highs. And suddenly, this just looks like a bit of a volatility contraction over here, where we got a higher low and then another higher low. So I really think we could be in that situation in short order. And we do have this Venom R1 pivot up here at $50.67. Want to give a shout out. One of the names some of the guys in our group traded today is SWIR. This thing looks fantastic. To be honest, I should be in this stock as well. Look at this. This is like a classic Mark Minervini volatility contraction pattern. The fundamentals look awesome. And this name was very strong, even though the market was pretty weak today. So really nice action there. Shout out to everyone in the Pristine Capital trading community. You guys are awesome. And that's really the goal of the group, just to partner up with a bunch of traders that want to do better, want to be better. And there's none of that nonsense of like, we're just long every day, the market's up, short every day, it's down. So heading into tomorrow, going to be a big old binary event. we're going to have to see what the river brings. One final point that I want to bring up is this dollar index. The high interest rates and really the fact that the United States is tightening so much, combined with the fact that the dollar tends to be a safe haven currency, the United States is the global reserve currency, it's just leading to this monster uptrend in the dollar. Really, what the Federal Reserve needs is we need a deceleration in this inflation print. And if that occurs, I do think the Federal Reserve is going to turn just incrementally more dovish. If we see that occur, then we should start to see the dollar begin to fall. So after the CPI print, it's definitely worth just checking in on the dollar to see what that is doing. With that said, hope you all have an awesome evening. Tomorrow's going to be an action-packed day. No matter what happens, hope everyone does very well tomorrow. And we'll see what happens, team. I'll be checking in with you tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be back in PA. So have a great night, everyone. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for watching these videos.